Blog Talk Radio.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Golf Talk Live. I'm your host, Ted Odorico, and welcome to the show for those of you tuning in for the first time tonight. Obviously, we're getting close to midway. In fact, we are midway in the month of October, and the season, for some of you, especially up in the northeast part of the United States and beyond, are starting to wind down the season a little bit. It's getting a little cooler out there, and not as much golf left for you as it is for us down here in the southeast part, especially here in Florida. Welcome to the show, and let me just remind everybody that the broadcast is live on Thursday evenings from 6 to 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, and that's 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for you on the East Coast. If you want to tune into the program live, you can do so by visiting blogtalkradio.com, and you can either continue that by adding a / and typing in Golf Talk Live into your URL, or you can just go up into the search key on the home page and just type in Golf Talk Live there, and that'll take you there as well. Again, thank you for joining me this evening, and I'll tell you a little bit about the guests in here in just a moment. If you want to call into the broadcast at any time during the live performance, you can do so at area code 646-716-4667. Again, that number is area code 646-716-4667. Certainly would love to take your calls throughout the broadcast. If you want to email any questions during the broadcast or afterwards, you can do so by contacting me directly at ted.golftalklive@gmail.com. Again, that's ted.golftalklive@gmail.com. And, of course, every week I update on social media, Facebook and Twitter. You can follow us along on Facebook at facebook.com/Golf Talk Live blog. Make sure you have blog on the end there. And make sure while you're visiting the page, guys, to like the page there while you're visiting. I appreciate it. And I always post every week who's going to be on the program and the upcoming shows. So you can certainly check it out on Facebook. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, I don't do, and I've mentioned this many times in the past, I don't do a lot of tweets. Mainly I use it, obviously, just to update the program and let people know who's coming on, and occasionally I'll throw in a few tweets here and there. But if you want to follow me anyways, you can do so at Ted and Buck, CEO. CEO, of course, is in capital letters. That's Ted and Buck, CEO. So you can follow me on social media on either of those two platforms. Excuse me. And also, don't forget, I'm going to be revamping this a little bit, but you can also check out the Golf Talk Live website blog, which is at www.golftalkliveblog.com. But thank you for joining me this evening, as I said. And my guests tonight, I've got two great guests. And as if you've tuned into the broadcast before, you've heard me mention many times the publication South Coast Golf Guide. My good friend, Mr. Jonathan Laird, of course, is the publisher and the owner of the guide. And it's really what it is. It's a publication here in the southeastern part of the United States, and it covers pretty much from Texas right over here to the Emerald Coast here in Florida. And a lot of great courses in there for you that are planning a vacation down here in the southeast sometime, especially you snowbirds getting ready to come down. Some of you are already here. A lot of great courses, and tonight we're going to feature one of the gentlemen from that publication and his course. Mr. Kenny Hughes will be joining me here in just a few minutes, and he's the CEO at Shell Landing and Hickory Hill Golf Courses out in the Mississippi area. So we're going to be talking to him here just in a few moments. And a little bit later in the broadcast, of course, I'm going to be joined by Mr. Jason H. Becker. He's the PGA President and CEO of Golf Membership Consultants Inc. And he's going to be talking about how his company and organization can put you together if you're planning on retiring here, especially in the south part of Florida. There's some great communities that they're aligned with that they can help you connect with some memberships and also some real estate as well. And he's going to talk a little bit more about that when he comes in the program a little bit later on. But as I said, we'll just wait here for a few moments for Kenny to join us. Lots obviously happening in the golf world. And I don't, as I've mentioned many times, don't get into a lot of the stats and so forth here on the program because there's just too many other venues out there for you guys to follow as far as what's happening on the tours and things. But every once in a while, I'll throw something in there, and lots of things been heating up here in the last few weeks. I talked a little bit about it last week about the Ryder Cup there a couple of weeks ago. Obviously, very disappointing for the U.S. team. Everybody has their own theories. I certainly expressed a few of my own, and I'm not saying that they're necessarily right, but it's what I believe, and I think a lot of it is, as I mentioned last week, that European players tend to play more as in a team-type format, where here in the U.S. It's more treated as an individual sport, and I think a lot of times what ends up happening there is it's just not going to happen the way that maybe the U.S. team would like. But I think that some changes are coming, and they're certainly reaching out. They've introduced a task force here in the last week since the Ryder Cup, and they're trying to analyze. I know they've reached out and approached a couple of people, Paul Azinger being one, and of course he's expressed publicly that he's going to stand back until some changes are made, so we'll see what happens there. But lots of things happening in the golf world, lots of great tournaments coming up. They're already gearing into next year on the PGA Tour already. It was always kind of nice to have a little bit of a break, in my opinion, once the season ended. Through the holidays, let the families get there, and for some reason they don't want to break and want to just sort of have a continual run. And it's kind of nice just to wind down from the season and just enjoy family and friends and things like that, and just kind of get away from golf. And even though I teach golf and enjoy playing golf whenever I can, it's nice once in a while to not turn on the Golf Channel and see tournaments going on 24/7. So just my thoughts and my opinions. And as I said, lots of things happening. So, if you're looking to get some information on updates, you can certainly go to the Golf Channel or ESPN Golf and some of the other media formats. But here, what I like to do is I like to bring on a lot of great professionals in the sport to come on and talk about whether it be their venues or talk about some of their academies. I've had some great products here over the last couple of years since I've been doing the broadcast. I've been doing it now actually 2 years, and I've done very, very well. I have a great, not only a great following here in the United States, but also abroad. Many, many people tuning in each and every week here on Golf Talk Live from all over the world, Ireland, Australia, Scotland, of course, England, even some tuning in from China and some of the other Asian countries as well. So I appreciate their input into the program, and thank you for following me. One of the things that I've been doing here, for those of you, again, that have been tuning in maybe for the first time tonight, I've had a segment that I ran earlier this year and through most of the summer called Coach's Corner. I haven't had that for the last few weeks. Obviously, I didn't broadcast for a couple of weeks. I was a little under the weather. And basically what the format is I invite a number of different teacher professionals and coaches and golf gurus, if you will, onto the program, and we take some of your questions, mainly through email, but we're going to be changing that a little bit, and I'll talk about that in just a second. But basically what we do is invite you to contact the program, and if you've got a question for the pros, by all means you can do that. And you can send that to the same email I read out earlier, ted.golftalklive@gmail.com. And what I will do is read that on the program during our Coach's Corner segment and let the panel entertain that into a discussion and talk about some of the ways that we can help your game. And it's actually been very, very successful. The guys and gals that participated had a lot of fun with that. And as I said, we have a lot of teaching professionals from all over the United States that have been participating in the program. So I'm going to bring that back. I've taken a little bit of a rest. I'm going to revamp it a little bit and add some things which I'll talk about in a little more detail in future programs. But probably what I'm going to do is I may have a few more before the year's out, but looking at revamping it and making it even more accessible and interesting and interactive in 2015. So make sure you stay tuned for that. A lot of great things are going to be happening, as I said, both on the program and also in golf in general, and we certainly want to bring that to the forefront on the program here. So I see that my first guest is ready to go, so we're going to bring him on here in just a second. But let me just ask, pose, I guess, some thoughts, if you will. If you're thinking about taking a trip to Mississippi, you might want to go fishing in the Gulf of Mexico. Maybe you're considering trying some of your luck at one of the world-class casinos in Biloxi while you're on your trip in Mississippi. But before you do that and plan that trip, you want to make sure that you pack your golf clubs, and here's the reason why. Tonight, my guest, first up tonight, is Mr. Kenny Hughes, and of course, he's the CEO at Shell Landing and Hickory Hills Golf Courses out in Mississippi, and he's here to talk about some of the great world-class golf that you can find in Mississippi. So let me bring him on, and we'll talk to Kenny for a little bit.
Hey, Kenny, how are you doing?
I'm doing very well. Welcome to Golf Talk Live. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for having me on.
Not a problem. As I was just sort of leading into to having you come on here, I wanted to really let some of the listeners know. Obviously, there's a lot of great things to do in the state of Mississippi. We've got some great fishing there out of the Gulf, as I was mentioning, and obviously some action there at the casinos for those that like to try their luck there. But more importantly, you and I have a common bond, and that is we love golf, and that's what we're going to talk about tonight. So. Let me just start off first. I know that you represent some great tracks there in the Mississippi area. Tell us a little bit about each of them and a little bit of what they have to offer.
Okay. Well, as you said, I'm CEO of Shell Landing and Hickory Hill Golf Courses. I've been at Shell Landing since it opened in 2000. It's a Davis Love design that's located in Goshen, Mississippi. That's right on the water, the tributaries that come in. If you go to our website, shelllanding.com, you'll see some beautiful pictures of a couple of holes that represent, our golf course very well. And Hickory Hill Golf Course is located in the same city, Goshen. It's on the Pascagoula River, which is one of the, if not the largest free-flowing river in America. And it was built in 1962 by Earl Stone. Beautiful bunch of big hardwoods, more of a traditional type golf course with push-up greens, and but it's over 7,000 from the back tees, but you can play it up to 6,000, 5,500, shorter if you would like, smaller greens. And it's actually where I started in the business in 1987 as an assistant golf professional, and graduating from college and business and becoming an assistant and making $4.25 an hour, and now I'm an owner of it. So it's amazing. For me, it's been the best time of my career. It's just a love to take care of the golf courses, and we've in the last 2 years since we purchased both of the golf courses, myself and my three partners that are all local businessmen, we've put our blood, sweat, and tears into it, and it just shows. I mean, it's so nice when people come in and just say, just incredible conditioning, love the experience, the people that are here, taking care of you, because we all love golf, and we want everyone to have a good time, and it's just a great opportunity for me, and I enjoy coming to work every day. So Shell Landing, like I say, it's just a great golf course on the water. We just finished having the web.com tour school here last week, and we had second stage last year in late November. We've hosted events after Hurricane Katrina. We hosted events with. My first golf professional actually worked for the PGA Tour. He retired, but he's still working as a rules official. And we started something after Katrina for 3 years. We had players like Hunter Mahan, John Daly, Bubba Watson, Heath Slocum, come here on their own dime, play golf. We built 15 homes in 3 years with Habitat for Humanity, and that was very special because I am from Biloxi. About 15 minutes.
Yeah, that was fantastic. Yeah, that's fantastic. There was just a lot of devastation, obviously, that happened, and a lot of hardship, and that's great. It's one nice thing about this profession is a lot of the guys and gals as well really step up when it counts, and doing events like that, and just coming out on, as you said, on their own dime. and what a great and noble cause. And then just sometimes I think when we when we look on the sidelines and we see some of these guys and gals on tour every day, grinding it out, we sort of put them in a different category and forget that they're human as well, and that they feel the same pains that we do when we see things like that happening to our fellow man and woman. So it's great that they step up and do that.
Yep. And this was before Bubba had even won a tournament on the tour. He was playing on a tour, but he hadn't even won a tournament on a tour. And he wrote a check for $5,000 right there in the hallway. Just here you go. After that day, and Hunter hadn't won one either, and Anthony Kim hadn't won one either, and they all won the year after they were here. So I was like, hey, that's a good karma.
Well, the good Lord definitely favored them, and that's true. Let me ask you, Kenny, about the course, and we can stick with Shell Landing for the time being if you want. But what kind of experience for some of the more challenged, shall we say, and that's putting it politely, some of your higher handicappers? What are some of the what's some sort of the experience that they can expect? How do you make it so that it's not too difficult for them?
Well, it's a Davis Love design, as I said, and we have 5 sets of tees. So first of all, like we all know, you need to play from the correct set of tees.
Right.
And it's anywhere from 7,100 from all the way back to 5,000 from all the way up. The fairways are generous size fairways, and the greens are really big. So, Davis does not try to build the hardest golf course to play.
Right.
So the greens are very big. A lot of people hit a lot of greens out here, and some traditional golf courses, the greens are a lot smaller, like in at Harbor Town. But the big thing here is the bunkers are pretty deep. But when you hit it in a fairway bunker, you probably deserve to be in a fairway bunker.
Yeah.
So that's probably the biggest thing is you can see when I first came out here before the course was finished, you could see the influence of Augusta National on Davis when it comes to bunkering. You could see the flashed up bunkers, and you like hole number. You can look on our website. Hole number 17 is a par 3, perfect example. You have 3 bunkers behind the green. They really don't come into play, and it's kind of like the bunkers on 13 at Augusta National behind the par 5.
Right.
They really don't come into play, but they look like it from the fairway. So. The bunkering is probably the biggest thing. It's not the length of the golf course. There's not too many forced carries, and the holes that actually have a forced carry, the tees are in the proper position in order so you don't have to hit a long club into the green. So that's probably the biggest thing, and the greens do have a lot of movement to them, but they're big enough to where when we put the pin, if you hit it in the right zone, you have good putts. But if you hit it 80 foot from the hole and you got to go over a few mounds, it could get interesting.
And obviously with the fact that you've got 5 sets of tees, which my next question, of course, is for some of the more skilled players, that would certainly add and present a little more challenge for that golfer, correct?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, the par 3s are pretty long. I mean, you're looking at 225, 230 on the par 3s, and the greens have a lot of movement on them. But these guys nowadays, I mean, they've grown up in a whole other segment of how far they hit the golf ball. It's amazing.
Yeah.
But it's still a good challenge. I mean, our course record's 62. It was shot last week in the web.com.
Oh wow!
Under tournament conditions from all the way back, and the golf course in perfect condition, and the weather was perfect. I mean, the fall has come. It's 75, 78 degrees, and they didn't have much wind, and but still shoot 62. I mean, that's a great score, and but it's a fun golf course. It's not. It's just beautiful. The aesthetic beauty of the golf course is what really attracts me. The routing of the golf course, it flows. I mean, I'm watching deer just a minute ago walk across number 1 fairway. We are in South Mississippi, but Ted, if you've ever been here, I mean, we have a lot of beach here, and I'm from Biloxi, so everything in Biloxi is flat. And everything south of Highway 90, which is the beach road, is beach or water. Yep. And when the original owners of the golf course, they came to me and wanted me to open a golf course for them because they knew me from Hickory Hill when I was an assistant. And I asked them, where are you building it? And they said, well, it's south of Highway 90 in Gaucher. And I said, do you have enough land? And they said, oh, yeah, we have 2,000 acres, because they owned a development also. We're in a gated community, but we're open to the public 7 days a week. And so I'm thinking to myself, well, it's probably going to be flat, and, it's going to be a lot of, so much marsh, and you're not going to have good drainage. And when I came out here, I was absolutely amazed. Our elevation's about 19 to 25 foot, rolling hills, and not where they brought in a bunch of dirt and made it that way. It's just the way God made it. And absolutely beautiful piece of property, and it drains fantastically. I mean, the first three things that they, Davis and them said, the most important thing is drainage, the second most is drainage, and the third most is drainage. And we're off the path when most people are still on the path, and they just did a fantastic job of putting the golf course where the land already was. And that's not an easy thing to do, because a lot of times that it's like that old saying, location, location, location. A lot of times when you see these guys going out and have big ambitions and they want to build a golf course somewhere, obviously this is where experience comes in, but a lot of times they don't always select the best place, and they find out after that it's maybe the drainage isn't as good, or the elevation isn't right, and they've got to move heaven and earth in order to build it up so that it'll facilitate what they want to do. And it sounds to me like you guys really had a very perfect location to begin with, so you had something great to work with. Basically, you had a great canvas to work with. Absolutely. And in the vision of Davis and also the development owners at the same time, they didn't pinch the golf course, meaning they didn't throw home sites in the lots right on top of the golf course where you look on some golf courses and you have white stakes on both sides, and you got 20 yards to land the golf ball. They moved the houses off to the side. There is nothing like that, and it's fantastic for the homeowners, and it's also fantastic for the person that's experiencing the golf, and they really did a great job on that. They did not shove everything in, and they made enough space and enough room so that you can totally enjoy yourself. You don't have to worry about hitting any houses when you tee off at all. Right, and that's a plus for really, like you said, the homeowners, but also for your facility as well, because you want people to have a good experience, and if they're feeling a little bit uncomfortable because there's fairways lined with homes all the time, it's really not a great. And I've been to a lot of courses like that, and it's not an enjoyable experience. I don't care what track you're playing on. There's a lot in there where they're literally inching the fairways, and it's just not a pleasant experience. It's not enjoyable, and really you want people to have fun, a good fun experience when they're coming to your facility. Absolutely, and with the development, because it opened in late 2000, you had the .com crash and everything. It just the timing of the development wasn't good, so they haven't even passed first phase yet. So they have phase 2 and phase 3. So there's so much that hasn't even been developed that you don't even see. So it's almost like a golf course that's in the middle of the woods and by the bayous and pine savanna, which is something that I've never even knew what it was until I came out here, which is incredible. The amount of flowers. I mean, right now we have black-eyed Susans everywhere in the pine savannas, buttercups in the spring. It's just different things grow, and then a blue stem, which looks kind of like a wheat thing that you see like at Prairie Dunes or something, and it's all natural. It wasn't planted. I mean, it's there. And all we do is we're able to cut that about twice a year and kind of keep the greeny stuff out, and those flowers just continue to grow more and more and more. It's just really beautiful. Now, you also, when I researched a little bit on your site, obviously you facilitate different events. You recently hosted the web.com event, but you also are looking to attract some corporate events and things there. Obviously, being close to Biloxi, having access to the casinos and things like that. I know that you partner with Imperial Palace, as I understand. So you're really in an ideal situation because somebody can have their corporate event and go out and play golf during the day, and then they've got a little entertainment in the evening if they choose to go that route. So you're really in an ideal spot. So
What are some of the things that you try to encourage? Are you trying to get into more of the corporate market as well as just the everyday player?
Well, actually, I'm from Biloxi, and I was here before gaming even came in, and it came in 1992. And I have a lot of friends that work at the casinos and made a lot of relationships over the year. And we're in a great location. I mean, we're 15 minutes actually from the east of Biloxi, a straight shot from Highway 90, and we have a lot of convention groups that stay at the hotels. Normally, Sunday through Thursday, you have the convention people in, and normally they have one afternoon to play golf if they have one of those opportunities. And it's a great location. They can come here. They can tee off at 12 o'clock or 12:30. Do a little modified shotgun. It doesn't matter if it's 24 people or 60 people or 100,
right?
Or 120 people, and they can play, and we can get back over to the casino or their property because they usually have a 6:30 or 7 o'clock engagement that evening. So
sure.
Our location, timing, relationships that have been built over many years, and just word of mouth saying, hey, this is a great place to play. It's affordable. You can get there and you can get back in a proper time to do your other things that you're going to do that evening. So, yeah, definitely the whole landscape of golf has changed on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. Like I said, I'm born and raised here all my life, and I'm 52 years old. And when gaming came in, it elevated. We have Shell Landing, which is a Davis Love golf course. We have Grand Bear, which is a Jack Nicklaus golf course. We have the Bridges, which is an Arnold Palmer golf course. We have the Fallen Oak, which is a Tom Fazio golf course. We have Preserve, which is a Jerry Pate golf course. So, that's just all happened since 1990, and the Oaks, which was originally a landmark golf course built. So since 1998, all those facilities were built up till 2005 was the last two that were built. So a lot of great golf came in a very short period of time.
Well, sure, and that's that's really what I was getting at is when you have something like that that's going to draw people in the area, like the casinos, obviously, in that convention sort of atmosphere, it's smart to really add the golfing aspect to it, because a lot of people want to play golf, and you're, as you said, in an ideal situation because you're just 15 to 20 minutes from really the central part of Biloxi, so it's very quick and easy access to get them to come out to your facility.
Yep, and IP, as I said, we are the highest end golf course that's not owned by a casino. So it's owned by myself and three other gentlemen. So, people see me, they understand that they can talk to the face. It's not a corporation that's from someplace else, which I take a lot of pride in. And
sure.
All my employees here know that we're representing myself, and I have a lot of pride, and we're representing Shell Landing, and we want to put our best foot forward always, not just on this day or that day.
Yep.
Every day. And we got a good membership. We have about 150 members that are very enjoyable. They really enjoy playing at the golf course. We have tourists that come here from the Florida Panhandle. From everywhere, from Chicago, New Jersey, from everywhere, and play here. And it's just, hey, I love golf. I'm starting to play more golf now than I have in the last 25 years. I'm really loving it. I got a 14-year-old daughter that's really starting to get into it, so it's a lot of fun. And I'm a golf nut.
Well, I know. I hear you. I've played golf since I was 7, and of course I've taught for a number of years, and I'm sure you can relate to this. But when you get into the teaching aspect of golf, your game really, and I hate to use this terminology, but really goes south because you don't get as much opportunity to play when you're busy, instructing and teaching and coaching and that sort of thing. So, I'm 50 myself this year, so I'm getting to the point now where I want to start playing more golf and maybe do a little less of the teaching aspect, and be able to get out there, because once you get into that area of the business, it's very difficult really to play, and everybody always seems to think. Everybody always seems to think, well, great, I'm going to be a golf professional. I'm going to be out there, and I'll be playing all the time and, giving lessons and so forth. And the reality is when you get out there, you get so gosh darn busy, booking and doing the playing lessons and so forth that you really don't get a chance to play as much as you think you do. So it's kind of nice to look forward to maybe an early retirement and get out and actually enjoy the game that you fell in love with at a young age. Kenny, let me just ask you here in just the last few minutes that we have here. Obviously, after playing a great round, everybody wants to kind of unwind and talk about what they've either accomplished or maybe they got defeated a little bit out in the course, so they want to stop and have a bite to eat or maybe a cocktail or two. Tell us about your 19th hole. What have you got there?
We call it the Landing Bar and Grill, and we're open 7 days a week. One of the things that we did this year for the first time in 2014 is we actually, in our retail rate, we included complimentary lunch, and that went over fantastic. And we also included free replay, space available. So that we really, a lot of people appreciated that added value this year. If you see me, you don't think I'm a foodie. I'm weigh 140 pounds, and but I love great food, and we got some good people over there that put out some. We don't have a 25 things on the menu, but we got 10, 12 things that we do really good, and but mostly that golfers like, and we got some cold beer and some Fat Tire, and we have some wine as I'm partaking right now, and so. But we're like I say, we're open 7 days a week. The only day that we close the entire year is Christmas Day, and we're open throughout. We have some big tournaments where we're closed, but besides that, we're open 7 days a week. We don't overseed anymore. I just want it seemed like the movement of using water is going, further and further away of doing that.
Right.
But our spring kicks in so early usually, except for last year. By March, mid-March, we start greening up. The greens are Tiff Eagle. They roll fantastic. There's no transition issues. The only thing that we oversee now are really our teeing ground areas and our range tee and then our hitting areas at it. But, we stay green all the way through December until we, sometimes we never even get a frost. And sometimes we might get 8 frosts a year. But by the time we get into mid-March, we're already moving forward and greening up. And we spray a little pigment on the fairways and the greens, and you don't even realize it, that it's not overseeded.
Yeah.
Most superintendents come say, "What are you overseed with?" And I was like, "It's not overseeded."
Well, and that's one of the nice things too. Yeah, and that's one of the nice things about really down here in the southeast part of the United States is really you can have some great golf, virtually all year round. And I know that there are obviously a lot of courses that do overseed in that, but a lot of them are starting to change their ways as well. And with the great climate that we have down here, it's just golf all the way around. So you're obviously in your element and you enjoy it very much. And Kenny, I want to appreciate and want to thank you for coming on tonight and sharing a little bit about. And just before we go, just remind again the listeners where they can go to get some more information if they're interested in either coming to play or maybe they want to have a corporate event at your location.
Our website at Shell Landing is shelllanding.com, and that's with 3 L's, SHELLLANDING.com. And then Hickory Hill CC is for our Hickory Hill Golf Course and Country Club, but you can get to both websites from one website. So all the information's on there. Our rates are on there. You can book online there. You can see we have golf packages for just with no room attached with just Hickory Hill and Shell Landing. We have, you can play here one day, you can play there one day. You have people that come in with RVs and stuff of that nature that don't need a room, or people that gamble at casinos and they get a special room rate at the casinos. So we have multiple packages in-house and also with other properties. IP, as you said, is our marketing partner, and you get special rates if you stay at IP too. So that is all on our website. All the information you need is right there, but you can call us at any time, and we'd love to talk to you.
Well, perfect. Well, Kenny, thank you very much for coming on the program tonight and sharing a little bit about something that we both love very passionately, and I'm glad that you were able to share that with my audience here tonight. And I'll be sure to continue to let them know that there's some great golf in the state of Mississippi. It's not all about fishing and it's not all about gambling. There's some great golf out there as well.
Yeah, there's some great football this year too.
Yeah. don't even go there. I'm an Auburn fan, so I don't want to even hear about it. We're not gonna go there. We're not gonna go there.
Well, you know, just give us 1 year, please.
Yeah, well, that's true. Yeah, you guys deserve it once in a while too. So we'll let you have this year, but yeah, I don't even want to go there. It was just a bad scene all the way around for both Alabama and Auburn this year. But kudos to both Ole Miss and Mississippi State. You guys played some great football.
Well, thank you. It's pretty exciting around here for the first time in a long time.
Enjoy it, because you can bet Alabama's going to come back with a vengeance next year after their recent loss. But Kenny, thank you very much for thank you very much for coming on. You're welcome to come back anytime. And as I've mentioned earlier in the program, I don't know if you were tuning in at the beginning or not, but I host a segment on the program. I haven't done it for a couple of weeks, but called Coach's Corner. And what I like to do is invite some of the teaching pros out there. So if you want to, either yourself or somebody from your organization wants to maybe participate on that, we try to help some of the listeners out there with their golf game, and it's a panel discussion. We usually have 2 or 3 different teaching pros from really all around the United States and abroad. And if you're ever interested in joining in, just let me know, and I'll put you in the mix.
Well, great. I appreciate that, Ted. Thank you very much.
All right, and welcome to come back anytime. And Kenny, thank you very much for joining us here on Golf Talk Live.
I'd love to, and if you're anywhere in the area, please give me a call and come out, and we'd love to play with you.
For sure, I would definitely. After a selling spiel like you just gave us here a few minutes ago, you bet I'll be out at Shell Landing. You can bank on that. Kenny, have a great evening.
All right, Ted. You too. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Right, bye-bye. All right, that was Kenny Hughes, CEO at Shell Landing and Hickory Hill Golf Courses. Didn't get much time to talk about Hickory Hill golf course. We'll do that another time. I'll have Kenny come back. We'll talk a little bit more about that. But sounds like a great. I haven't had the pleasure of going there, but you can bank. I'm going to take him up on that and go out, and maybe the next time I'm out in Biloxi, I'll stop by and at least say hello. But sounds like some great golf there, and of course you can find out more information about these great courses through the South Coast Golf Guide. And you can do that by going to southcoastgolfguide.com, and there's a list of courses there that you can play all throughout the southeastern part of the United States. And of course, Shell Landing is in that publication. So make sure you pick yourself up a copy. And if you're down here in the south right now and you're visiting some of the courses or some of the condos, a lot of them are carrying it here, or I believe the Edwin Watts stores are still carrying them there. Stop by and pick yourself up a copy, and make sure you head out to Shell Landing while you're down here on your vacation, and pay Kenny a visit and go out and play some golf on a great track. As I mentioned, I've got another great guest joining me here in just a moment, Mr. Jason Becker. Of course, he is the PGA President, CEO of Golf Membership Consultants, Inc. He's going to be joining me here in just a minute. But let me just remind everybody, of course, the broadcast is live here on Golf Talk Live every Thursday evening from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. And if you want to find out how to find out more about the show, you can go to www.blogtalkradio.com, and you can type in up in the search key Golf Talk Live, and that will take you to the landing homepage. And you can listen to, if there's a live broadcast as there is tonight, you can check us out there. Or you can scroll down if you've missed any of the previous broadcasts. Of course, all of the programs, even though they're live on Thursday, they are auto-recorded. So if you've missed tonight's broadcast or any of the other broadcasts, you can certainly go and scroll down once you hit the landing page through the on-demand section and pick out an episode maybe that you'd like to listen to. And those are there all the time, of course, from the start to the finish. So you can pick out one of your favorites there. Maybe you've heard one before and want to tune into one of the Coach's Corner segments and hear on some of the great tips there. So make sure you do that. And don't forget, if you ever want to call into the program as well, you can certainly do so by calling me here at area code 646-716-4667. Or you can email any questions or comments about the program to me personally at ted.golftalklive@gmail.com. And, of course, I always update on social media, both Facebook and Twitter. Facebook, you can visit at facebook.com/Golf Talk Live blog. Make sure you have the blog on the end there. And you can also follow me on Twitter at Ted and Buck CEO. And, of course, CEO is in capital letters. As I mentioned, my next guest, of course, is Jason Becker. He's the PGA President and CEO of Golf Membership Consultants, Inc., and he's going to talk to us a little bit about what they do and what they offer to those of you that want to get involved with maybe a golf membership here in South Florida. So let me bring him on. I know he's here waiting in the wings, and let's bring him on the show. Good evening, Jason. Welcome to Golf Talk Live.
Hi, Ted. How are you?
I'm doing very well. How are you doing?
Doing well, sir. Doing well. Great show. I'm glad that we're not following up with more college football talk because I'm a Big Ten guy and we are not having a good year.
I think he just wanted to slip that in there and rub it in because Mississippi's actually doing well this year. They haven't been doing too well the last few years. So, I don't blame them. You got to take it when you can get it. Alabama can't win all the time. But yeah, we won't talk too much football here. So Jason, let me ask you a very obvious question. Why don't you start off by just telling us a little bit about how GMC, we'll call it GMC for short, obviously, how you guys got started and how things transpired.
Sure. Well, we just was investigating the process that consumers are going through from the north. I've been in the PGA world for about 10 years now, and my partner's been in about 35 years. And we've seen what happens when someone comes to, especially South Florida, with 371 golf clubs to choose from, what can happen if you get into the wrong place. And from the club pro side, it's the last thing that you want is a member that doesn't want to be there and is unhappy. So started investigating to find out what the process was people were going through when they came down. And as it turns out, there really wasn't a process. They had the internet to rely on and friends of friends. And so the internet was okay, but there's just so much to choose from with no filtration system. A lot of the private clubs, especially in the South Florida area, their websites are locked. You have to be a member just to get on them. The other websites were just poorly put together. They couldn't get a lot of information, and nothing that would really push them to invest $3,000 or $4,000 in a trip to Florida for a couple weeks to test out the place. So that left them with their friends of the friends, and the consumers either wanted a little bit more or wanted a little bit less or didn't necessarily want to be in the same communities in South Florida that they were up in the northern part of the United States. So I asked them just 10 brief questions, trying to get a good idea what they're looking for. And because I've lived on both coasts in South Florida, I was able to filter through all 371 clubs in my mind just based on what they were telling me, what they were looking for. And so I mentioned 3 or 4 clubs that sounded like they'd be a really good fit for them on what they could afford and everything else, and asked these folks if by me kind of leading you in the right direction, almost like a concierge-type service, would that instill enough confidence in you to come down here and look at these places? And people are very excited. They had never had a support system like that. Being a PGA professional, and I wasn't attached to any club, so I had no bias. I was Switzerland, if you will, and could lead them in the right direction. So really started gaining some momentum because there was no service out there that provided that kind of one-on-one, let's build a plan for you type system. And what made it really work for the people coming down is that we were PGA members and that they know what that logo means. They know who they're getting. They know that the kind of characters. So people really latched on. There was a lot of trust there, and were soon asking us much more in-depth questions on the process. So go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. No, go ahead and finish your thought. Sorry.
Yeah, we started interviewing these folks from the north, members from colleagues of mine up north that were coming down here soon, and we established those relationships so quickly that they then started asking us about real estate and what's the big deal in Florida with tax law and why, what with no state tax, and all this stuff that I really didn't know a lot about. I know golf, and so I went to my partner and I said, let's go out and get guys that were in the golf industry, either PGA or guys that at least spoke the golf language, and bring them on as partners with us, so that way we could have an all-encompassing service and essentially have a team of professionals that can walk, process, and answer all those questions. Because as it turns out, just picking up and moving to Florida for your retirement years or your investment years is much more to it, and that decision that you make to invest into a club or invest into a home has to be an educated one, because you don't want to make a mistake and end up on a resignation list trying to get that initiation back.
Yeah, and let me just interject here real quickly, Jason. What I wanted to say was, as you had mentioned, essentially really what you're offering is a type of concierge service. And one of the reasons why that's so important and what kind of intrigued me about your business model is this. I know, obviously, being in the golf business as well for a number of years, I know that one of the problems, and you really kind of hit it on the head here, is, most of them have come out and some have a good website, some don't have a good website. They're not really great at marketing themselves and really going after the business. A lot of them just sort of throw, their stuff up on the internet, or they, send their stuff out in a mailing or by word of mouth, and sort of wait to people, for people to come to them. And the problem is that, when you're talking about moving and relocating, or even if you're doing it as a second home, one of the problems that a lot of people have is, because it is such a big purchase for some and a big move, you have to be well informed. And a lot of people weren't being informed because the industry really wasn't. So really what you've done is you've sort of filled a niche in the market by opening your doors and sort of helping people, as you say, walk through the process, what they should be looking for, what they need to be careful of, and make it a good experience, so that when you do sort of complete that transaction, they're going to be well informed, and they're going to be happy as a result, because they've sort of seen all of the nuts and bolts, if you will, as to what goes on. It's not just a matter of driving down Interstate 75 or 95 and parking yourself in a property and saying, "Great, I'm here. Let's play some golf," because there's a lot of other components to it. So, having said that, what are some of the things that some of your clients need to do in order to begin that transition period? What do they need to do? What some things do they need to get, ducks in a row, if you will?
Yeah, basically you want to start the process as early as possible. We have clients that are in their mid-40s. We have clients that are in their early 70s, and it doesn't matter really how young you are. It's always important to, if you're going to invest in anything, you always want to stay on top of the market. And so that's our clients and the people that are working with us are so used now to going to our website, because we're constantly putting on market updates from our real estate team and our financial advisors, things that are going on down here, because it's a different world. South Florida is absolutely booming. The real estate market is so thin right now that it's definitely a seller's market. So we want to continually educate yourself, and then when you're ready to start that transition, then come down for a couple of weeks or a month, maybe rent a place, which we can help with that as well. But immerse yourself in the culture so you get a really good idea of what you want, and more importantly, what does your spouse want? Your spouse might not play golf, so it's important to look at all the attributes that come with a club membership. It's not just golf. Golf is obviously the centerpiece down here, but there's all the other important factors that go into it, and it's kind of, within 25 to 30 minutes of talking through that, you can really find a good, a good direction on where to go to next. The problem is just starting, and that's what we want to do, is just help you get started, and then be that support system, so you can come down here with a strategic plan in place. I'm going to go visit these 3 properties because they meet all my expectations, and I'm going to go look at these 3 homes or condos because this is where we want to live, and knock it out, and then have some time to really reflect on it instead of bouncing around, asking questions, trying to figure out where to go. I always give the analogy, when you come to our airport in Fort Myers and you come to the first light, if you have a GPS in your car that shows 5 golf clubs right off the bat, I mean, where do you begin? There's 160 of them. So, and they're all have different programs.
Right. Now, what are some of the differences that for those that are tuning into the program here that maybe you can kind of explain it because you are somebody that's familiar with it? What are some of the differences, the main differences with the different types of golf communities? Just give us a sort of a rundown of an example of what are some of the differences people can expect.
Sure. Yeah, there's really the big three. There's your standalone, just golf club only, which is primarily just a clubhouse and then all golf, and no dinner, no pools or no tennis, things of that nature. And then you can move into like a gated community or country club, which has those amenities where you can live in there and not necessarily be a member of the club, but it would be an option to get into a membership. Or you can get into the bundled atmosphere, which has the golf club and then all the amenities are piled into that. So essentially, when you purchase your home, your membership is included. And so they all have their positives and negatives, and that's why it's important to really interview the consumer to find out what do they want or what do they envision the next 15 years, because that's where we'll get you in the right direction. And from the club side, the club, the general managers and the membership directors in the area are excited too, because they're getting people that have already been informed about what they have, so their conversion rates are going up, and they don't run the risk of having an administrative battle a couple of years down the road when a member's not happy. They're coming well informed, and this is what I want, this is what I'm looking for, let's get it done and start playing golf. So those are the big three, though, the three types of communities that are in the area. And of course you have your executive courses, which some folks might be looking for those in other properties, but it really centers first on where you want to live and then your budget after that.
Right. Now, because there are so many different types and a lot of different possibilities coming to the state. I mean, obviously Florida has so many different golf communities throughout the state. Does your service sort of offer a connection with most of them, all of them, or just some of them? Do you sort of sift through some of the community? We want to certainly have them under our umbrella, and we're going to recommend them to customers that have and is there some, and obviously I'm not looking for you to divulge names, but obviously there may be some that are not going to be a good fit or are not going to be a good product that you want to encourage people to get into. Do you sort of do your due diligence in that respect and make sure that the courses and the communities that you're going to recommend to your future clients are going to certainly hold up to their end of the bargain?
Yeah. Basically what we did when we started the program is we went to the golf professionals and the GMs across the state and said, this is what we're doing. We're going to go and start having these consumer education programs. If you'd like to affiliate with us and be a part of this non-traditional, progressive way of educating people and getting members to your club, then we'd like to invite you in. And that's what the majority of the clubs wanted to do, is they wanted to be there, send us their information and inform us. But basically what we can do, it wouldn't matter where the client wanted to live. If it was in Vero Beach, Florida, which is about 4 hours from where I am, I have a PGA contact up there that I would call, and that person would walk through the consultation with the client, because he has the local knowledge. And that's the key about this is being in your particular area for 10 or 15 years and knowing all the clubs around and especially the amenities. Quite honestly, Ted, I don't know that we've had one client that golf was at the top of their list. They're on the hierarchy, real estate is number one. It's where they want to live. And then the second is an amenity or a convenience. So I want to be no more than a half an hour from an airport and 20 minutes from the beach. And so when we can pinpoint that based on what they want to spend, budget-wise, then it's just a radius search, and that's when we'll reach out to the clubs and say, we have Mr. and Mrs. So-and-so coming. Would you like to meet them? Here's their bio and what they're looking for, and it sounds like it'd be a perfect fit for your club, and should help expedite everything from both ends. So all the clubs have been really supportive. We've had a lot of great feedback from the general managers and the PGA at the national level, and what we're doing and wanting to be a part of it.
Well, and I think, as I'm sure you can attest to, obviously in recent years, especially with the recession and that, there's a lot of with the real estate market sort of faltering the way it did there for a while. Obviously, Florida is bouncing back very well in most of the areas, but obviously a lot of these communities have to be a little bit more forward thinking and have to start looking at ways of attracting new perspective, especially as the population ages and more individuals are looking to migrate, for lack of better words, down here in Florida. So a lot of them have to start looking at new ways, as opposed to some of the traditional methods. So as an example, obviously you have a process that you do with your clients. So walk me through, if you will, both sides, if you will, what attending some of the GMC forums and how they begin the process. Sort of walk us through, just to give the listeners here an idea of what sort of happens. So if I was coming down from New York, let's say, and I was interested, what sort of first steps do you ask of me, and what's the process?
Sure. The organization was built around two phases, really. Our first phase is we do a lot of traveling north. We're just in Massachusetts last week, and then we're heading over to Indianapolis next week. And we hold a 90-minute question-answer session. So if you were a member, let's just say from New York, and you were to attend our forum in Rye area, you could come out and you could ask questions from not only the golf side, but ask questions in real estate. If it's questions regarding tax, law, or financial planning, we'll try to do our best to kind of give you an overview, but we like to hand those off to our licensed partners and to answer those questions, and we bring a lot of material with us to answer those questions. But that's the first step, is to really explain what the culture is down here. A lot of people don't understand what resignation lists mean.
Just very quickly, not to interrupt you, just very quickly for those that don't, explain what that is.
Sure. Yeah, basically what that means is 2009 did a number, as you mentioned earlier, on the entire industry. And so when people started cutting back on their expenses and their ancillary things such as golf, one of the things is to get out of their membership, and which means you're not going to pay dues anymore. And for a club that on average might be $8,000 a year in dues, which is the lifeblood of the club, and that's how it functions. Well, you go on what's called a resignation list to eventually get that initiation fee back. And so those resignation lists grew tremendously.
Sure.
And I would say the average in our area in South Florida, from my research, has been anywhere between 50 and 90 people deep on those lists. So if you're coming down from New York and this is your first investment into a club, why this is so important is that you understand and you're confident in the decision you make to get into a club, because you don't want it in 2 years to go by and you realize that was the wrong choice, and you're going to go on that resignation list. So let's just say you're number 76 on it, most clubs, 99% of them, their bylaws state that 3 new members have to come in before one gets paid out. So you're number 76, and
you could be there a while.
You probably won't get it back, to be honest with you. So
right.
So that's I always start the forums out that way. I tell people I don't want to scare you into moving to Florida. I just want you to know that you need to take this decision very seriously, because we don't want to see you make a wrong decision, and quite frankly, the club doesn't want you to either, because they don't want to have to put you on a resignation list. They need you paying those dues every year to be happy. So that's the first big piece of the forum, and then we, over a 90-minute period, it's just a simple round table question and answer session. We don't do PowerPoints or anything like that. You basically have the opportunity to pick our brains, and we'll give you a good solid education, so that way when you're ready you can enter phase 2, and that's the individual consultation. So we'll do that over the phone typically, both husband and wife have to be present, even if,
sure,
like I said earlier, even if the wife does not play, it's so important because the littlest things can help us filter even further. And we ask roughly 10 to 12 questions and get a good idea of what your playing habits are, you intend them to be when you move here, and what are you budgeted, what are you looking to spend, and then what your real estate are you looking to spend, because we want to make sure that you have longevity as well. And so after we do that second phase for you, I'll meet with my real estate team and the same thing with my financial advisors and just make sure that everything looks good, and we can put together a strategic plan for you so you can, within a day, have a plan ready in place, get your plane tickets, and come down. And we have rentals where we can put you up at one of our condos, even if you'd like, and so you don't have to stay in a hotel.
Right.
Just to experience the area and go visit those properties that meet your expectations. And what that does for us, too, is you can visit those 3 properties and then let's talk about it and get feedback from it and see if what was missing or what you want that might be more, and then go from there. But at least we filtered through 371 clubs, got you down to 3 and see 3 or 4 and see which one you like the best.
Now, how do you, and that was going to be my next question, when it comes to that, because there is a lot of, opportunities and a lot of, different communities to choose from, obviously you're going to filter it down based on some of the questions that answered. Obviously, the price point is going to be very important. But obviously, if you get down to, let's say, a half a dozen or so that fit within that range, how do you go from that point into the next step to sort of whittle that down even further? How do you do that without really giving a preferential treatment to one one community over another? Is it more then goes back onto the consumer and saying, what do you like, what fits your eye better, that sort of thing, or where do you go from there?
Yeah, we have a couple different ways. We can take it down even further and go into detail of, talk to me about what kind of practice facility do you want? Do you want an aqua range? Do you want a regular range? Do you want to be able to walk in the afternoon hours? A lot of Florida courses you can't walk. So you can ask those questions and filter it. But what we would have them do is our clubs that are affiliated with us are on our directory on our website, and we would send them to there, and they can do their own investigating and get in touch with the membership director and ask any specific questions. But if we can at least get them that close, then the finish line's in the near future. That's for sure. They'll be able to figure it out. But we've worked with 38 clients now, I believe, so far, and have done consultations with, and it really hasn't gotten that particular yet, just because once we understand how many times they want to play a week and whether the spouse plays or not. For the most part, majority of country clubs have tennis and they have pools and different food and beverage options. So we can get them in the right direction a little bit, pretty fast once we answer those questions.
Right. The other thing, obviously, is you want to encourage them, of course, to come down and visit the different facilities and so forth. But then you also want them to have a little bit of a cooling down period, as you indicated earlier. You want to let them sort of go back and go through and discuss sort of away from your organization and away from the communities and so forth, just to really make sure that the decision that they're going to make, that they're satisfied with in that. So generally from that point, what sort of a follow-up do you have with them, and how does it work from that point? Yeah,
I'll give you a perfect example. We're working with a couple out of Minneapolis. They came down in April of last year, visited a few properties, looked at some real estate. We're very, very close to pulling the trigger on some spots. Went back home, and the more they talked about it, they thought, maybe we don't want to invest that much money. So they now have a new plan, and they're coming back in a couple of weeks to look at a couple different places real estate wise. So I try to follow up with them once a month at least. Just send a quick note, and if you have any questions, we're here, and people take advantage of it. They'll call and try to get a good idea what the market's doing. But most people our clients in particular, are very active on our website and constantly reading from all of our industry-leading professionals and what they're doing. We update that monthly, and our newsletter alone is a wealth of knowledge from all different avenues that you have to be educated on before you come down here.
Exactly, and that's really, and that's exactly what I agree with as well. I think is very important. I think the more that you educate yourself, especially when you're dealing with bigger items, you're talking about real estate and also some of the golf memberships, of course, can be pretty lofty depending on where area you're going to. It's not something that you want to just sort of dive into. So, really what you're offering is an opportunity for them to sort of examine the process, if you will, and take a further look at what their options are, what's available to them out there, and then letting them sort of make a consumer conscious decision from that point, correct?
Sure, yeah. And we just advise, and along the way, I had a consultation this afternoon with a couple that just moved here actually, and they're renting for a while, and she had mentioned possibly looking at real estate this year in this season. And my advice to her was, the masses are going to be here, therefore a seller is not going to be very lenient because your budget is very strict. If you can wait it out till May or June, you might be able to get a place $10,000-$15,000 cheaper. So, and she never would have thought that. It was just kind of running around trying to keep up with everything that's going on and trying to get your real estate now. But there's a strategy behind it if you're very budget conscious. That's for sure.
Yeah, and as you indicated earlier, you've aligned yourself with a number of different partners, financial partners, and so forth, legal partners to help be able to sort of. So really, it's kind of like a one-stop shop, if you will. It's not just about the golf, but it's about the real estate, and it's about because there's a lot of financial planning involved as well. It's not just a matter of packing up and moving and starting a new phase of your life. It's really what's going to work. What are some of the tax laws that are involved, as you indicated, and that you need to take a well-rounded look at that. So, if somebody's interested in connecting with your organization, how do they go about scheduling for a consultation, and how do they go about finding out if you're going to be up in their neck of the woods?
Sure. Our website is probably the easiest way to get in touch with us, and I'll give you that. It's www.golfmemberpro.com, and it's very you'll see when you're on there, very easy to navigate. A lot of information. There's an events page of what's coming up, but we're always doing consultations via phone. So that's by scheduling it, we can have one of our agents, if not myself, get in touch with them immediately and walk through that process and get a plan in place within the day, really. And during that consultation period is when an education happens, whether they like it or not, and when we give our feedback of what's going on down here, because a lot of people really don't know what's going on down here. So we'll make sure that they're up to date, aware. You mentioned earlier about the financial advising piece. One of our guys that represents that side of it, one of the things he tells people is that the membership fees, and especially for the non-equity memberships around here, have dropped significantly over the last 10 years. So what you think you might be able to afford, let's just say $40,000 or $50,000 at one time, might have been $90,000, and so you can certainly afford the initiation to get in, but can you afford the guest fees and the food and beverage and everything that comes with that culture? And so that's where it's so important to look at it 20 plus years and make sure you have that longevity, and because again that decision is going to be key, that you don't lose that $40,000 or $50,000.
Yeah, exactly. And as you said, you don't want to get on a resignation list 2 years down the road. So well, that's some great advice. Exactly. Yeah, and it's interesting, and as I said, one of the nice things, that's happening now, a lot of people look at what's happened in the golf industry in the last several years, A lot of courses out there had either closed or were struggling in that. But one of the positive things that has come out is organizations such as yourself and others have sort of sprouted out and found new ways of sort of rejuvenating the golf industry and finding new and creative ways of helping. Because let's be honest, and I am here on the show. The golf industry, unlike many other industries out there, was really lacking in promoting itself effectively. Many, even in the teaching end, a lot of them now are just starting to be a little bit more effective marketers and so forth. Before, a lot of the clubs were just sort of putting their banners out there and waiting for consumers to come and partake in what they had to offer, but they weren't really very assertive in going after that market. So, as I mentioned earlier, you've sort of created a niche, if you will, and sort of filled a void that was long overdue.
Yeah, and it's shown that especially the last 6 or 7 weeks, with the website traffic, and our PGA colleagues across the north are just outstanding. We have partnerships with the north sections from Wisconsin across to New England, and all the guys and girls up there know of what we're doing down here, and so when they have that club member that comes to them and mentions Florida, that flag pops up, and let me get you in touch with Lynn and Jason, and then
right.
we can get them onto us, and we can get them to where they need to go real quick. And it's a really cool system to be a part of, because everyone's happy at the end of the day, from the client, because this entire thing is complimentary. We don't have a fee for the consumer. We get you where you need to go, and so they're happy. The clubs are happy. They're getting screens applicants to their doorstep, and the golf industry is happy that it's growing, and people are. I think the PGA is happy with what we're doing, that we're actively out there educating consumers. Because even the smartest, most successful businessmen and women in the country are still very, very much intrigued when they're hearing our stories and what's going on down here and getting that education. So.
Right, and that's as we've mentioned several times here, that is very important. I mean, you need to understand all of the aspects. It's not just as we said before, packing up and moving down to Florida, and jumping into a community. You need to know all of the ins and outs and what's available and what are some of the things that you need to prepare, and that's really what you want to do. Now, do you offer sort of a checklist to your clients that they need to sort of help guide them? Because a lot of people might say, well, I don't know what to, where do I start? What do I do? Do you sort of provide a checklist once you get somebody to come on board and go through the process, say, okay, these are the things that you need to look at?
Yeah, it's funny. We even go further than that. It's really excited to talk about this piece of it. But once the person comes down here and visits the 3 clubs and their homes, and they finally secure a spot, and they're down here, what they're still lacking is local knowledge. And so we've created a business directory on the website as well. So if they were looking for an interior designer to fix some things up in their condo, or an AC repairman that's local, a good Italian restaurant to eat at in Naples, we've created that system too, to just filter it even further. And the reviews on that have been outstanding from our clients that are down here. But it's all encompassing on that website from A to Z. Everything you need to know is there, and that's why we encourage people to use it as much as possible to just avoid wasting time, get to where you need to go quicker. And all the businesses that we affiliate with represent who we are, our ethics, and our character, and are proud to be with us just as we're proud to be with them.
If you could sort of summarize just a little bit, if you wanted to sort of, let the listeners know what some of the first things that they need to do in order to prepare, even before coming to your contacting you and setting up a consultation. What are some things that you would advise them to do to take those first few steps, and then to go through the process from that point?
Yeah, the first steps would be probably to either attend one of the forums, the 90-minute forums. We're in the process of developing a DVD here soon that will at least answer the hot topic questions, so someone
Sure.
can watch it online or get a mailing. But that's really it, and those forums are meant to you to start getting the wheels spinning and start thinking of, okay, where do we want to go, and then that's when it's time to start getting serious about it. I would say that's probably the first and foremost. Unfortunately and fortunately, there's really no other company out there, organization like ours. So there's not any additional places to go to get all that info. We're the front runners in this, and so that's why it's so important for us to keep our website very active and a lot of updates and whatnot. So that would be my suggestion, is just, even if it's once a week, every other week, or just sign up to get our newsletter. It's free, just so you're kind of caught up to date on what's going on down here. And who knows? I mean, like, we have clients that are in their 40s to their 70s, and they're all different. Everyone has a different agenda and a different timetable. So there's really no standard out there, but everyone could use to be educated as often as possible. That's for sure.
Now, how obviously you've mentioned as well about talking with people, say, in their 40s. Is that generally sort of the starting age, if you will, that most people should be considering this next step? Is that sort of? I mean, you're obviously not going to go in and approach somebody in their 20s, perhaps, or even their 30s. Is 40 sort of what you have found where people need to start at least thinking about this process?
Yeah, because what you can do, and I've seen it, it's occurring now, is you have a lot of folks that have enough money aside that they could invest into a condo or a villa. And so that way they could have it, they could come down for just a couple of weeks out of the year. But more importantly, they could rent it out to pay the mortgage. So if you had those kind of finances, you could go that route and kind of get into the ballgame that way. And it's an investment. I mean, the property values are certainly going up down here in South Florida in particular. So that seems to be the standard. I mean, I've had a couple consultations with guys that are in their mid-40s that were doing just that. Others are fortunate enough that they're going to be able to retire earlier.
Sure.
And then you goes all the way. I would say our typical client, though, is in their mid-50s or so, looking at that age 60 to officially retire and get down here 6 months in a day. But anyone younger than that, it's just an investment property or something along those lines that they come down and entertain clients. And there's a big, I don't really like to go into too much detail with the Florida tax law and all that, but there's a reason why people homestead down here 6 months in a day. And so that's certainly an avenue that the younger guys are going after as well.
Sure, and that's understandable, and that that's actually helped grow the state of Florida. So but it sounds like you've got really a great business model, Jason, and it's something, as you said, that you're in the forefront of it because there really isn't anybody at this point. There really isn't any competition, and I'm sure as time goes on, there'll be others surfacing up. But you'll be obviously you've become well established that you'll sort of be the go-to organization at that point anyway. So you really don't have to worry really too much about competition, certainly for the foreseeable future. But what I do want to ask, though, is this. Obviously, a lot of people are still, a little bit stung with the recent economy and so forth. If you get a situation where, let's say, somebody isn't quite ready, and you just don't see that it's a good time, what do you sort of advise at that point?
Yeah, we'll suggest just to rent. We have the capabilities to do that. If, come down here and rent for a month. It might cost you $4,000 or $5,000, and you can get into a bundle community and rent and have golf privileges and get to play and enjoy the beaches and everything else. But at least you're not out $80,000. So
right.
That's a big piece of this, because we certainly don't want anyone to get in a position where they've ruined their retirement for the next 15 to 20 years. So that's why that piece is so important. And not a lot of it's kind of a tough question to ask, but we do ask. What are your finances like? And nobody really wants to share that, especially with a stranger. But it's important because we don't want to lead you in any direction that you might not be ready for, and it'd be wiser for us to hold you back if necessary and explain to you why, and then 3-4 years down the road, then you'll go through us and we'll find your home in golf. But yeah, no, that's why that consultation piece is so important. It's just to really get a good understanding, and then we haven't had any issues yet with folks that got scared away or got skittish on coming down here. They understand it, they get it, and we offer that support system for them.
Now, obviously, when you drive down most of the major interstates through Florida, and the closer you get, obviously, into the southern parts of Florida, there's literally billboards and signage of all different, especially some of your senior communities and things like that. Do you also offer in your process, and again, I'm not looking for specifics as far as the who's and the what's, but obviously there's everybody's sort of looking to grab into that market. Do you also offer in your service a sort of a do and don't list, if you will? And what I mean by that is a sort of be careful. Here's what to look out for, to be careful of, because the cold hard reality is that and I think this last decade has really shown that there have been a lot of people that got trapped into real estate investments and things, and this is what's made it apprehensive. Do you also offer that through where you obviously you want to have a good experience, as you said, but do you also offer in your portfolio a way of cautioning people to things to be careful of, to look out for, and not get caught up in that?
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. We're forming our newsletter this week, and it's all centered around scary stories, because it's coming out on Halloween, of people that have moved to Florida and got caught in that kind of thing. And so, we basically, through the education piece and the relationships that we've established, we'll teach people what questions to ask, what things to look for.
Sure.
If you're going into a community and you see a lot of for sale signs, it could be a red flag. Why is everybody leaving? Asking a club before you sign those documents, how much are in the reserves here, and anything less than $1 million that's a red flag for assessment that could occur.
Sure.
It's just knowing what questions to ask. That way, you get all the right information and can make a confident one. And we don't know all the particulars of every club down here, certainly, but we can at least give the client a good heads up of what to ask and red flags to look for. But
now, obviously you might run into situations, and this is kind of where I was leading, but obviously you might run into a client that's maybe visited Florida before. They've seen some of the signage as I'm referring to, and they may inquire about specific things. Do you ever find yourself in a situation, and obviously you have to be careful for legal reasons, but where maybe it may not necessarily be a good fit for them, you don't really want to come out and say, no, I don't suggest you do that. How do you handle situations like that? Because I'm sure that's going to, if it hasn't come up, it will come up at some point. They may ask about specific communities. How do you handle situations like that?
Yeah, and it has come up in the past, and basically if the only time it has come up is frequency of play and things like that. If someone tells us they're looking at a bundled community that's fully developed and the developer's gone and they have 800 homes and they want to play 5 or 6 days a week, well, we know in the club pro world that's darn impossible with the Chelsea system and all that. So that's the kind of stuff that will inform them that certainly go visit the community that you had an eye on, but just ask the questions to the golf pro and the membership director to make sure that there is availability to play as much as you'd like to, because in those kinds of settings they would probably be upset going into season, and all of a sudden they can only play a few times a week. So those are just the minor things. We have never gotten into the position where we've had to come out and say, no, don't go there. All of the clubs that are our people are. It seems like it'd be a good fit for rank high among us, and as we know the community. And we always reach out to our PJ staff, and we have 10 guys and gals across the state that are all in these local areas, and we'll reach out to them and find out what their thoughts are and about a certain place before we send someone to. But at the end of the day, the consumer is going to see 3 or 4 spots, and they'll be able to ask those questions and be able to filter it on their own. We just want to get them to that point.
Right. Now, what about right? And let me just ask you one thing here about your service in general. Now, obviously, you're having a lot of events. I'm going to give you an opportunity to talk about a couple of the events that you've got coming up here, just in case anybody's up in that area that's tuning into the program tonight. But obviously, you might have a situation. Are you going to be looking at dealing with some of the international community as well? Because there's obviously some internationals that may want to come to Florida and get into this type of format. Is that something that you're looking at doing down the road, or is that something that you offer at present?
Absolutely. We've actually got a young man over in Germany that's developing the program over there, because if anybody needed an education on the United States in general coming over here for golf, it's certainly European. So he's putting together a team of people that can that speak to the German population, and then we're doing the same thing up in Canada. And we have a Spanish-speaking partner that is a PJ golf professional that works with us to help those from South America that are coming up. So, we're definitely internationally cognizant, that's for sure, in the development stages for those places.
Well, now I know why Florida is getting more populated, because you guys are reaching your tentacles all over the globe.
Well,
so that's probably explaining why.
I don't know if you know it, but it's a census stat that 1,000 people move to Florida a day. It's incredible.
They actually, if I'm not mistaken, I remember hearing something in the news. I think it was earlier this year that they said that Florida was now tied with the state of New York as far as population.
Oh, sure. Yeah, it's great. I mean, I studied the trends very in-depthly last fall, last summer, and the numbers were near 200,000 people 65 and older were going to come to South Florida in the next 3 or 4 years. I mean, they're coming, and if you're coming down here and you're not playing golf or tennis, I'm not sure why you're coming down, but those are the hot spots, that's for sure. And that's why there's 1,200 golf communities in Florida. They have to be able to supply and demand. So.
Yeah, exactly. Jason, you've obviously got some events coming up in the northeast and that do you want to let the listeners know where some of the upcoming events and when they're going to be held, and how they can go about getting in touch and being a part of that event?
Yeah, if you go to our website, it's golfmemberpro.com, and you'll see right on the front page there, we're having an event at Meridian Hills, which is just northwest of Indianapolis, next Wednesday, late afternoon. And then we're going to shoot up to Columbus. We'll be in that area on that Thursday, and then are going to have a forum Saturday morning in Cleveland, on the western side of Cleveland. So doing a little Midwest run, and then when we get back, what we're seeing down here is a lot of people are coming back early because the weather changed.
Yep.
And so we're going to start having some stuff locally throughout the state. We'll probably have one up in Orlando as well in the next couple of months. But we also do online forums, so you could be in Mississippi and attend one of our online 90-minute discussions and just sit back and listen and be able to ask questions of our staff. And I'll put up a link for that this evening as well.
Oh, okay, great.
But signing up for the newsletter is the biggest thing, because that keeps everyone up to date on where we're going, where we're heading, and more importantly, every month it's 9 different little articles from all of our industry leaders that are helping educate. We call it the Florida 101. It's education on Florida and keep people up to date.
Well, fantastic. Well, Jason, I want to take this opportunity to thank you for coming on the program tonight. Certainly enjoyed having you, and it was very interesting. Obviously, I wasn't that familiar with your organization before you had contacted me, but certainly going to keep a very close eye and will do my best to to help promote it as well. I think it's a great thing. I think any way that, especially even though I know you offer really more than just the golf side of it, anything I think that we can do to help grow this game and help educate consumers on making informed decisions, I think, we all need to do a better job of that, of course. And I think what you guys are doing are great. And any way that I can help here with the program, we can maybe talk about this at a later point. But anything I can do with the program, I'm certainly more than happy to do that for you.
Yeah, thanks, Tony. Appreciate it. Yeah, that's one of our biggest hurdles. Is this has never been available before for anyone, and so it's so new that it's going to take some time for the word to spread. And it's spreading now. We've got 3 new clients today, in fact, and so. It'll take some time. That's our biggest thing is getting the word out there. And even if you're not close to retirement or coming to Florida, I'm sure you probably know someone who is. And just to mention, to go to our website and we'll take care of you. And it's free. It doesn't cost the consumer anything.
Well, and that's the beauty of it. The fact that you are offering this service really free of charge to the consumer is very important because people get a little skeptical if I've got to sort of fork out this money to find this information out, and then they sort of tend to want to do it themselves. So it's great that you put that together and that it's a free service really you're offering to the consumer. Jason, again, thank you for coming on Golf Talk Live tonight. I certainly enjoyed our discussion, and I always like to have guests on here because it helps me to learn a little bit. Obviously, you're an expert in your field, and I in mine, and I enjoy learning from others in the business. And as I said, if there's anything that I can do, we'll talk. As I said at a later point. I've got some ideas that might be of interest to you, and we can talk about that. But I appreciate coming on the show tonight and sharing that.
Sure, thanks, Ted. I really appreciate it as well, and look forward to a long-standing relationship and possibly even doing some call-in shows. That'd be pretty cool to answer some questions over the air like that.
Well, and that was kind of what I was getting at. I was thinking of that very opportune myself. I think that would be a lot of fun, and it would certainly be interesting for the audience as well. But Jason, have a great rest of the week, and again, I appreciate for you being a guest on Golf Talk Live.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Not a problem. Take care.
Yep. Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, that was my guest, Jason Becker, of course, President and CEO of Golf Membership Consultants. Really a great business, and I mean that sincerely. I think that's something that, as the industry changes and progresses, I think that we have to be able to find new ways of encouraging and educating consumers out there as to some of the great golf that we have down here, but some of the great communities that are here in the state of Florida. And it sounds like Jason and his team have put together a fantastic business model that are doing just that. And as he just indicated, it's a free service, so you've really got nothing to lose and really lots to gain. So that website, again, of course, is golfmemberpro.com. If you want to get more information or want to get in touch with Jason and his team, you can do so by visiting the website. And as he indicated, there's a newsletter. Make sure you sign up for the newsletter as well. That'll keep you informed. And even if you're not quite ready to come down to Florida and retire yet, you may want to look at it through as an investment opportunity. That may be something that you want to do. And if not, it might be just worth your while just getting some information in preparation for when that time comes. So, again, visit Jason's website at www.golfmemberpro.com, and you can find out when some of the upcoming events are going to be had. And as he indicated there as well, he's going to be putting a link up there. So if you're not able to attend live one of the events, you could be able to do it online and be able to get your questions answered at that point. So make sure you visit the website and check that out. I want to also thank again my guest, Kenny Hughes, for coming on the program. Of course, he was the CEO of Shell Landing and Hickory Hill Golf Courses over in Mississippi. A lot of great golf to be had out in Mississippi, and I won't, Kenny, hold that against you that Mississippi State and Ole Miss put a beating on Auburn and Alabama, respectively, but nevertheless, we'll make sure that we get some folks out to Shell Landing and enjoy some great golf and a little casino action as well while they're out there having a great time. Appreciate my guests always on Golf Talk Live, and I appreciate you, my listeners, tuning in each and every week from literally all over the globe, and particularly here, of course, my friends and associates that are tuning in here live in the good old US of A. Also want to send out some special thank yous just to some of those that help support the program. Of course, Mr. Jonathan Laird of South Coast Golf Guide, who Shell Landing, of course, is in that publication, so make sure you get yourself a copy of that. You can do so by going to southcoastgolfguide.com, and make sure that you go on Facebook as well and throw a few likes on that page as well. I also want to thank Meredith Kirk, of course, from Meredith Kirk Golf, and also she's involved with the Endless Golf Myrtle Beach magazine. And as I've mentioned several times, she had won the 2014 Mrs. South Carolina, and she entered in this past August into the Mrs. USA competition. Unfortunately, she didn't win the competition, but I know she did very well, and it was a great experience. And she's very active in getting people in junior golf and just enjoying golf in general. So thank you, Meredith, for all of your continued support. And my good friends from down under, Nikki and Tiffany Litherland, thank you very much down in Australia. They're going to be coming here to the United States shortly again, and when they come, we're going to try and get Nikki on the program here. So stay tuned for that. Nikki's a great professional, and we're looking forward to having him on here. And I believe they're expecting another child soon, or they may have already had it. I'm not sure. But to both Nikki and his wife, Tiffany, thank you for all your continued support. And, of course, my good friend, Mr. Bernie Pinder from Ontic Golf. Great line of custom-made putters. Bernie is a good follower of the show as well, and thank you for your continued support. And certainly last but not least, Mr. Peter Doyle of Doyle Golf Solutions over in Ireland, across the pond there, as they say. Thank you, Peter, for all your continued support. And again, thank you to all of you for tuning in each and every week right here on Golf Talk Live. And don't forget, every Tuesday morning on my other program, Women of Golf, make sure you tune in for that. That's on 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time here on blogtalkradio.com, and that's Women of Golf. And that, of course, I'm joined by none other one of the hardest working women in the LPGA profession. That's, of course, I'm talking about Cindy Miller. Her and I host that together on Tuesday mornings at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Have a great weekend, everybody. Thank you very much for tuning in tonight and continue to support the program. Have a great weekend. Get out there and enjoy some great golf while the weather is good. God bless everyone and have a great weekend.